Hi, welcome to the Xylem Virtual Training Series. I'm David Stover, Technical Training Manager for Xylem Industrial Solutions. Today we're going to be assembling a 3656 in-suction pump from our kit program. And today we'll be using our instruction, installation, and operation manual, and we'll follow all the instructions in here. Now you can find this manual at goulds.com. Simply go to the search bar on there and put in 3656, and it'll bring you to the product literature and all the information that you can get to assemble the pump yourself. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with our pump. One of the first things we want to make sure that we always do is we have all of our proper safety equipment. So in today's exercise, we're going to be using cut gloves so that we don't cut our hands, and make sure that we have our safety glasses on so that we don't get anything in our eyes. Let's inventory all of our parts and our tools and make sure that we have what we need to do. Now we're going to get a casing. This is our pump volute, and it's going to come with the impeller already set with it. Inside the volute you're going to find the wear ring already installed, and then on the outside you'll find 4 plugs already installed that are set with the drains on the pump. Now these are set to where we always have a drain no matter in what configuration we set the volute discharge. So I can have my discharge up and I still have a drain on the bottom. I can have it down to one side, I can have it up to the opposite side, or I can have it pointing downward, and I always have a drain for my casing right here. So that's our casing assembly. This will come in as one piece, part of the kit. That goes in there. And then we have our motor bracket and seal housing right here. So this is where our mechanical seal goes, and the opposite side of this is our motor bracket where this will bolt to our motor. We need to make sure that we have our motor. Here's our motor that we're going to use and assemble with today. And then we'll end up with this 3656 kit right here that we'll use. And inside this kit we have our mechanical seal. We have our casing O-ring, seal ring here. We have all of our bolts for our motor adapter and our casing here. We have our shaft sleeve for our impeller. And then we have our impeller bolt. Additionally, you'll get a tag right here that you'll stamp with the model of the pump when it was put in and any serial number that needs to be applied. This comes with 2 small hammer-in rivets that comes with it, and these go on the motor bracket right here, and they'll go on the top side right here. Now, we always want to make sure that this ends up in the top orientation on our motor. This will set up here so that our tag shows out on the top. At this point we've got our motor bracket already set. We have our seal stationary unit inside the motor bracket right here. So I'm going to set this to the side. I'm going to bring my motor forward. Now before we mount our motor bracket, the first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that our shaft is clean. We want to inspect it for any burrs or anything on here, any scratches that is. If we find anything on it, you take a piece of emery cloth and just work it around the shaft, around the area for the sleeve and for the mechanical seal, making sure that it's perfectly smooth. This has got to be smooth so that we get a good seal between the mechanical seal and the shaft itself so we don't get any leakage in here. We also want to check the keyway right here, make sure that it's clean. If it's not, then we'll use a small wire brush and go inside and clean that keyway area right there. So now, once we've got all this cleaned up, one of the things that we want to do is we want to clean the face on our stationary unit right here. So what I'm going to do with this is I use an alcohol swab, and we'll take this and wipe that down real quick just to make sure that we don't have any debris on it, anything on there that could rub, because if you get a small piece of grit, maybe sand or anything along that line, that right there is going to score that up, or it's going to score the rotating element of the seal face. So we're just going to take it and wipe it real quick. We got that wiped off. It's clean. We're satisfied. Now at this point, I'm going to take this and I'm going to mount it on my motor. Now I want to be real careful to make sure that I get the top of it in orientation. So I've got my top piece here where my tag goes, and this goes in line with the top of my motor. Here's the foot, the base of the motor. This is the top of the motor. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to set it down on the shaft, and I want to make sure not to nick the ceramic ring. and I want to make sure that I align the bolts in the bolt holes of the motor bracket and the motor itself. So we get those lined up, and then we can tighten them up. So we stick our motor bolts in and tighten those up, and then we'll be ready to finish assembling our pump. Okay, now that we've got our motor bracket mounted to the motor and we've got our seal face in, our motor bolts here, we want to make sure that we get those to torque. Torque specifications on these is 25 foot-pounds on our motor bolts and our casing bolts right here. Whenever we put our casing together, we'll torque those to 25 foot-pounds also. So the next step in this, what we're going to do is we're going to put on our shaft sleeve. Our shaft sleeve is here. This comes in this box. And with this, we have a shaft sleeve and a keyway. Now, these go on the shaft as such, and then we have a key. Now, we're going to set the key to the side for right now. We don't need this until we mount the impeller itself. So, we've got our shaft sleeve on here. We put this on, and then the next part is we're going to mount the rotating element of our mechanical seal. So, we'll take this, and what we want to do is once again clean it before we assemble it. Again, using an alcohol swab, we'll take this, and I want to clean not only the face but the inside right here and the face to make sure that I don't have any debris on here. I'm going to clean this out, make sure that's taken care of. I'm going to clean my shaft sleeve real good. I can take this back off, I can wipe it, make sure that that's clean, but I don't have any debris on this either. We've got this taken care of. Now let's take this and add a little bit, remember the lubrication, so that that dry rubber can slide over this steel right here. So again, I'm just going to add just a drop like so, and then wipe that around so that we get that all the way through so that that mechanical seal is going to slide on real easy. We've got a little bit on our finger still. Let's wipe just the inside of that rubber so that rubber's not dry. Get that a little bit lubricated. I'm going to turn this over, and we want this face here to go against that ceramic ring. Now this is a carbon ring right here, and just like the ceramic ring, it is very, very brittle, so we've got to be real careful with it. So we're going to slide this over and then gently push it down over that shaft sleeve and make sure that we get it all the way bottomed out on that sleeve down to the ceramic ring. So we get that all the way down, and we make sure that it's even all the way around. Give it a turn, and we've got that in place. So at this point here, now I'm going to get my impeller. We're going to install the impeller. We're going to need our impeller bolt. Our impeller bolt comes in this box here. There's our impeller bolt. We'll take this out, and we'll notice that it has a little Loctite on it already. This is to seat this in there and make sure that it doesn't come unscrewed after it's been installed. So we'll take our impeller from our casing assembly. We'll inspect our impeller. Once again, we want to clean it because we've got a machine surface, a machine fit right here, and this slide down on the shaft is really tight, and it must be perfectly straight. And again, we can't have any debris inside here either. So what we want to do is clean that again, just like before. And we're just going to reach inside here and just give it a quick wipe. Get that cleaned up inside, make sure there's nothing in there. Make sure there's nothing on this shaft top up here. We've got the shaft clean, and we've got our key. We've got to make sure that we have our key in here. Our key goes in the keyway on the shaft itself. Slide that down into position and get it set in place. And then we're going to line our impeller up on the shaft and with the key itself. And when it gets lined up, it will drop right down into position, just like this. Now you'll see it bottoms all the way out. So we can set that there. Now we're going to take our impeller bolt, push our impeller down, get it seated into position, take our impeller bolt, set that in spot, and get it started into the end of the shaft. Now, once we get that in, we're going to take our ratchet with our 9/16 socket on it, set that on there, and we can twist that in real easy, get it bottomed out. Once we get it bottomed, we're going to take our ratchet and we're going to seat this down. Torque specification on this is 20 foot-pounds. Now, if you don't have a torque wrench for these, remember 20 foot-pounds isn't a whole lot of pressure. It's not real hard to hit. So what we're going to do is set this down short. If I can get it in there, like so. No. We're going to put this back in, and we're just going to use our ratchet, hold our impeller tight, and give this a good cinch snug up. Now remember, we got Loctite on there too to help keep that sealed in place. So now, let's make sure this turns. It turns it easily enough. We don't have any drag or anything on the inside. The next part is we're going to put our seal ring on for our casing. So here's our seal ring. We open this up and we see there's just a big O-ring. Now, we want to put this on. It goes around the outside. There's a groove right here that this rides in. And so we're going to put this on, stretch it over, and it goes all the way down against there and around the sides. And when we put it in, we want to make sure that we don't get it doesn't roll on us, because if it'll start to roll, it can either kink up, it can try to roll out whenever you put it together. Another thing you want to do too is make sure you inspect the ring. Make sure there's no cuts, no tears, nothing on there that cause it to leak later on, or when we put it together and get water inside of it. So once again, I'm going to take this. Now I've got a dry ring again, and I have a dry iron casing right here that's got to slide over it. So again, I'm going to take my lubrication, just a dab, a little bit will take care of it. I'm going to stand this up, and I'll put just a drop right here on the inside, and then just wipe it around. Get enough to get me all the way around. Get this good. A little bit larger area, needs a little bit more than just a drop. Okay, so we've got that on there. Let's, with just a tiny bit on my finger, like so. Just going to go around that O-ring, make sure that it's not dry all the way around. Now we'll take this, and we want to set our casing on. Make sure that we get it aligned, and then we want to make sure that we align our discharge with whatever direction that it is that we need for our application. We're just going to go straight up on this one right here today. So we're going to set this down over the top. We're going to line it up with our motor bracket, and we want to line up our bolts right here. Get our bolt holes aligned, and they will go right in like so. So we've got 8 bolts on here. We're going to put these in. 25 foot-pounds of torque if possible. And we're going to tighten these up on a star pattern. Crisscross back and forth so that we pull it down evenly all the way around. So at this point right here, what we're going to do is we're going to tighten up our casing, and we're going to use a star pattern going crossways with each bolt. And we'll tighten them up evenly so that we pull this down straight all the way around, and we don't pinch the O-ring that goes right here on the casing gasket. So that's our seal right here, is that O-ring, and we got to make sure that we keep this straight. Okay, bottom there, and bottom there. So now we can go in and tighten up the rest of our bolts. We'll run them up by hand real quick. Okay, so now that we've got the whole assembly put together, we've got all of our motor bolts and our casing bolts tightened up to 25 foot-pounds. We're going to check our rotation of our impeller, make sure that it turns. So you should be able to reach inside and just take your fingers and it should spin. As long as it turns, we don't have any rub, we don't feel anything in there, no resistance at all, then that's in good shape. So at this point, I'm going to set my pump backwards and I'm going to lay it down and we're going to make sure that we get our motor tag right here, our pump tag put on right here. So you're going to take this, and this has on it, it has a model number, an index number, and size and all this. And you're going to take the small stamps and you'll stamp that, and then that goes right here on the top of the pump. And then it has two small little hammer-in rivets, and there's two holes at that. You just take and drive them in with a steel or metal hammer. You'll do that, and your pump will be finished. You'll have it complete, and it's ready for use. So thank you for watching our video today. If you need any additional support or you need literature, go to goulds.com and enter the information in the search bar.